Hi, this is Don Schaefer from New Life Strategies, and I'm happy again once to be with you because, you know what? Once again, we're going to continue to discuss principles and ways of looking at things. And I know last week we talked a little bit about boundless energy. We talked about the fact that, hey, you know what? If we can take our life and look at it and say, this is how long I expect to live, and start to speak that, write it down, all of a sudden what happens is psychologically, our body and our ways and our means start to work towards that. Because you know what? I had mentioned last week that my date, I expect to live 120 years. And this could be a long time for my wife Shirley to put up with me, this I know. But I realize that if I can do that, I'm going to look at life a little bit differently. I will not look at my age right now and say, you know, this is the end of things, but it's really the middle. It's the beginning of things. That's where this week I wanted to talk on another area, very, very similar. These areas kind of connect a little bit. I'm going to talk about turning back time in your life. And, you know, a lot of times people don't realize sometimes what our bodies are made of, how our Creator has made us so wonderfully, and how we can actually do things with our bodies that are beyond miraculous. They really are. They really are. Because you see, our bodies will conform to whatever we put them through. And a lot of times people, again, feel like when they reach a certain age, that's the end of things. Well, you know, when we try to reclaim our youth, we can reclaim our youth. Our bodies basically are what? They're a bone structure, and they're muscle. They're muscle. There's supposed to be like 333 muscles within the body. And this is what makes up our bodies. Okay, our bodies, they say that if we get sedentary, we don't do a whole lot, by the age of 33 or 30, right around that age, that every decade we lose 7% of our muscles, and our bone density continues to go down. Why is that? Because of lack of use. Our bodies gets the thought in its center, in our subconscious, that our bodies aren't needed. You know, are needed for a long time. And that's where people that don't do things. I one time, I broke a hip, and I had to spend 2 months on crutches. And my leg that I couldn't put no weight on, it just dwindled. There's not a whole lot to my legs to begin with. But I tell you what, after those 2 months, my leg got very, very small. The muscle went way down, and you know, I had to build that all back up again. But because I could walk on it again, because I could do things again, I've gotten it built back up. But what I'm trying to say is we sometimes don't realize how we need to work our bodies, how we need to give ourselves exercise. And by exercise, I mean like lifting heavier weights and stretching those muscles and pushing those muscles. Because what will happen is our muscles will conform to whatever we throw at it. And that's where, if we want to reclaim youth, we can really do that. Because there is what? There is a chronological date as well as a biological date as far as aging. You know, and the chronological age always is the same. You take 365 days and you make a year. You know, and you take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you get a decade. It's the same for everybody. It's been the same since the beginning of time. But the biological date is a different story. People need to realize, you know, you are biologically a date also. That does not line up with other people. See, there's some people who are 40 years old that have bodies of 30 and 20-year-olds because of the way they've conditioned themselves and worked their muscles and built their structure. But then you have people that are 40 years old that have bodies of 60 and 70-year-olds. Why is it? They haven't done anything. And a lot of times people fail to realize that. And that's where we're working on various strategies in life, and we're saying ourselves, you know what? We can have the boundless energy, but we can also have the structure and the strength and the youth, biological youth, by putting our body into use. And I pray that what I've said today might help some of you to look at life just a little bit differently, because I know I certainly am. I'm starting to realize that, you know, there's one thing I can control in my life. You know, that's my body. What I eat, what I do, all these things, I control all of that. I can't control the economy. I can't control the environment sometimes. but I can control my body and what I try to condition in it. And I hope that you can take a good look at what you're doing. I hope that you can turn back the hands of time and have a biological date that is much less than your chronological date. Thank you once again for being with me, and I'm looking forward again to seeing you next week. Thank you.